but what can Alonso do? He needs a final big push here to get himself on terms with Raikkonen.
I tell you what, I bet Raikkonen's right front's not a whole bunch away from that condition of Massa's tyre either. After the lockups we've seen, Alonso's dispatched the lap Sato now. He's got clear gap, clear space between him and the race leader. He's 2/10 up in the first sector despite having passed the BAR, but Raikkonen's probably just about got enough laps left, hasn't he?
Well, we've seen defensive driving this season from Fernando Alonso. 3 times a race winner, fantastic stuff. But the last 3 Grand Prix, Spain, the last 2 Grand Prix, Spain and Monte Carlo, and in Imola as well. In fact, if you go back that far, he had to be extremely defensive. Michael Schumacher attacking him there. And this time, he's the one on the attack, and it's Raikkonen who's on the defence. There's Ron Dennis, the team boss of McLaren Mercedes. His foot just waggling, a little bit of excitement and tension there in the foot of Ron Dennis. And the sole of that shoe, you probably saw some writing on it. It says, "One small step towards victory." Such a McLaren mentality message there. Ted Kravitz, what can you tell us? Look at this tyre now, Ted. Look at it, the right front of Raikkonen.
And even more than that, you can hear it. Standing here in the McLaren garage, you can hear it when he comes across down the straight. Everyone else sounds clean. You can probably hear them in the background. They go, ew, ew, and then Raikkonen comes and it's brum, 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 brum. It is as bad as that.
Sound effects by Ted Kravitz. Copyright ITV 2005. Well, I guess Alonso can't quite hear it yet, but he will soon at this rate. He's now just over 3 seconds behind the race leader. There's third place man Heidfeld. Barrichello still 4th. Coulthard's 5th. On for some more World Championship points here this afternoon for Red Bull Racing. Michael Schumacher a long way behind him in 6th place. He seems to have settled for that. Fisichella 7th. Montoya creeps into the points, having got past Massa. He's in 8th place, but are we going to get a change of lead in the closing stages of this Grand Prix?
It's the main fight going on. You have to be impressed with the reliability of that McLaren, because Raikkonen has thrashed that within an inch of its life all afternoon, hasn't he? He's really abused that car, and it's staying underneath him. But 4 laps to go on that right front tyre. Imagine that the downforce at 185 miles an hour coming into the heavy braking zone and the NGK chicane just puts so much load into those tyres. And if the carcass and casing, look at that, just hanging on in there still, isn't it?
How can he possibly drive this car with the tyre in that condition? Even if you're on the roads and a policeman saw that, he'd pull you over, and quite rightly too. This is incredible. The man is driving at an average speed of 128 miles an hour around a racetrack with a tyre that has no place on a racetrack.
The lead down to 2.7 seconds now, and they're coming up to lap Montoya in the sister car, who's in P8. He is in a point-scoring position now, and now we get a good shot. Look at that, it's just moving around almost on the rim, the tyre there. So that's the big flat spot we saw him put on it when he was trying to lap Jacques Villeneuve, and it's somehow hanging on.
It can't last. It cannot last. Surely it cannot last. If he was to pit now, which would be the non-adventurous thing to do, I suppose, he would probably be able to come out just behind Heidfeld. He'd still be on the podium, but it'd be... I mean, is this unsafe?
No, you just got to keep going. If you hit the wall, you hit the wall. There's no chance to stop now. I'm just trying to look at the sectors, and he lost 4/10 in the first sector. He's a second down again on Alonso. Alonso's taken a second out of his lead, and now look how much closer he is. And Alonso with the full braking ability of that Renault. We are going to see a showdown in the final few laps.
For the second time this week at a major sports event, I'm shaking. I was in the stadium in Istanbul, I was shaking for the whole of the second half, and I'm shaking again now, because this is the most fantastic finish to a Formula One race. Raikkonen is under real pressure. There it goes, the tyre lets go. He just misses the BAR, and I said he should have pitted. I told you he would have got a podium if he'd pitted, instead of which he's going to get absolutely nothing. Ron Dennis can't believe it. The racer in Raikkonen wanted the victory. He wanted to stay out there. The common sense man said bring him in. They didn't do it. Alonso's going to take another 10 points out of him in the World Championship, and there's a smile underneath that Spanish crash helmet, because Alonso is going to win the European Grand Prix, having not had a sniff of it for the whole race.
And when it went big, didn't it? Took the suspension with it, but they need to pull these points back on Alonso. They had to take that. Was a racer's gamble. They had to do it, and that's very reminiscent of when Mika Hakkinen had a failure, similar failure. Just about took Jenson Button out of the race, but missed him. Button moves up to P10, Coulthard up to P4 then, and well, I don't know. Analysis will say yes, you should have changed it.
Of course you should have changed it. It would have been 6 points versus no points. Maybe that's just, I'm not a racer and you are, but last lap you don't come in for a pits, but that looked dangerous to me, and well, there we go, it's off.
Yeah, the tether's doing a good job to keep it from bouncing across Raikkonen's head, so Alonso leads comfortably then from Heidfeld. Barrichello still trying to put Heidfeld under pressure. A lot of debris on the racetrack.
And through to complete a very unlikely victory comes Fernando Alonso. He hunted down Raikkonen. He has his 4th Grand Prix victory of this extraordinary 2005 World Championship. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. The 5th win of his brief career, only 57 Grand Prix, and yet he's been in the winner's circle for almost 10% of them. Nick Heidfeld, he lucks into a 2nd, it would have been a 3rd. Barrichello gets a podium for Ferrari. First time for him this season that he's been on the podium. They had one with Michael Schumacher, remember, back at Imola, but the first time for him. And Heidfeld, well, that a tremendous result for him. And what about David Coulthard? What a drive by him, stupendous performance. Bear in mind as well, he had a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That would have added about, I don't know, 12, 15 seconds to his overall race time. Not quite enough to beat Barrichello, but he'd have been really knocking on the door of a podium without that speeding fine.
Yeah, it'd be at least that, I would think, and that puts him up to 4th in the all-time point scorers list in the history of F1, so P4 today for Coulthard, and say 4th in the list. But Alonso then, he put just enough pressure on Raikkonen, didn't he? They both ended up going off the road. You have to say Raikkonen did thrash his car hard today, and he paid the price, didn't he?
He did. He flew off the road at the Ford curve. He had a couple of big lockups into turn 1, and well, the mood on the McLaren wall, you can just imagine, can't you? Because as he tours around on his slowdown lap, Alonso is saying 4, yes, he's saying it to you at home as well. I've won 4 times this year, and that is the most fun I've had for a long time. Back at the Nürburgring, here in northern Germany, we have had a sensational finish to a really exciting Grand Prix here. Kimi Raikkonen's tyre exploded at the beginning of the final lap, handing victory to Fernando Alonso, and a crucial 10 points further ahead of him in the World Championship. We'll debate long and hard about whether or not McLaren should have brought Raikkonen in. Even though it would cost him the victory, he still probably would have got a podium here this afternoon and 6 points at least, but they didn't do it. He obviously didn't want to do it, Raikkonen himself, but it cost him very, very dearly indeed. Yes,
they have to prove the tyre was dangerous, which wouldn't have been difficult. Actually, I think you're absolutely right. Of course, he should have come in. The tyre didn't actually explode. The vibration and the out of balance of the tyre became so strong, it literally ripped the suspension off the car. The tyre was just, I would imagine, still inflated actually, but it was the cause of the accident, and they obviously decided to wing it, to chance it on the final lap, and well, they took some pain for it, didn't they?
They certainly did. Another dramatic race in what's turning out to be the best World Championship for many, many years. There's Nick Heidfeld. He was our pole sitter here today. Slow away from the start, but on his 3-stop strategy, he kept going. He was on for a podium, and then when Raikkonen's suspension broke, he nicked 2nd place for the 2nd race in a row then, Heidfeld. Monaco P2, and now the European Grand Prix P2. Flavio Briatore can't believe it. And neither could Fernando Alonso. You know what, Martin? He only led 1 lap of this Grand Prix. Well, no, he didn't. He led in the middle part as well, but crucially, he led the most important lap, which is the last one.
Yeah, as ever, Michael Schumacher crept up to 5th. Fisichella started from the pit lane and finished 6th. He had good pace through that Grand Prix, so a good recovery drive there from Fisichella. Montoya, with a difficult afternoon, got caught up. Amazing that his McLaren got to the end, isn't it, after it was run into by Mark Webber's Williams down into turn 1. So we still, well, we had 18 finishers, plus Raikkonen not getting round the last lap.
Flavio Briatore putting some manners on Herbie Blash. He used to run the Brabham Formula 1 team. You drove for them, I worked for them. Good old Herbie, he's seen some highs in Formula 1 and some lows as well. Flavio simply cannot believe it. I don't think anybody can. Well, it'll be very interesting to hear what McLaren have to say about that, whether they even considered bringing him in. Michael Schumacher smiling. 5th place again amongst the also-rans for the great man. His teammate on the podium on a different strategy from him that you have to say worked well for him here today. Schumacher stopped twice, went long on the fuel at the start. Barrichello went light in qualifying, got himself up the grid, and Schumacher lost out really heavily in that first corner incident, didn't he? It dropped him right back to 17th place.